there, folks. I'm Sean the Modern Yeoman, and I wanted to show you something really cool that I got in the mail today. A new tool that I think will be of great benefit here on the homestead, and also seems like it'll be a lot of fun to use as well. But before I show you that tool, I have some good news to impart to you guys. Now, you might remember in the last episode, we were dealing with the Broody Hen. In other words, a hen that had been kind of stuck in the nest box wanting to lay an egg. And she was wasting away. She was barely eating, barely drinking. She very rarely left the nest box. So, like I said, in the last episode, we ended up putting her in the meat chicken tractor, which is thankfully out on the pasture now. It's pasteurized. Not too funny, right? So we did end up keeping her in there for a few days. And how did she do? Well, I'm happy to report that Miss Broody Hen has been out of the nest box successfully for a few days now. I don't even think she's gone back in to lay an egg yet. She might have laid an egg once in there. The thing to note about Broody hens is they'll often stop laying eggs altogether when they're broody. And she did that. That was actually the case with her. And so I think she's finally now starting to catch back up with her normal egg laying cycle. And I think she's laid one egg. But otherwise, she's been out here in the chicken run, hanging out with the chickens, drinking water, scratching, eating food, acting like a normal chicken, acting like a normal participant in flock activities. And so I'm very happy to see that our little broody breaking attempt worked. We kept her in there for 2 days max. She was in there, she had her own food and water in there, and it seemed to work. We brought her back in with the flock, and she hasn't been acting all broody and puffed up at all since we brought her back. So that's good news. I also wanted to give you guys a quick update on the deck behind my parents' house that my dad and I have been working on. It's come a long way. Hey there, Dad.
Hey.
It looks very red.
It's yeah.
In a great way. It matches the front deck.
Right. There almost seems to be a theme going.
So this is the stain. It's not quite paint. It's a stain that you put on it, right?
Right. Although it kind of acts like a paint. It feels like a paint when you put it on.
Paint, yeah.
But it is considered a solid stain. So there's some penetration into the wood. And it's supposed to last a bit longer than if you were to paint it. They say 10 years. So
it looks great. How long did it take for you to put it on?
Not long, man. This really isn't a very big deck, so an hour tops.
Nice. Well, yeah. It looks good. So this isn't the final product. You're thinking of other ideas. What are you thinking for it?
Yeah, I'm kicking around different ideas. A railing, perhaps. One idea I was thinking about was just kind of a wraparound step all the way around it.
Sure.
But the more I think about it, I think I'd be happier with the railing and then kind of on the front end, just really a single step because it's really not that high up off the ground.
No,
so.
Not at all.
Yeah.
Awesome. Well, I will be here to help for that next phase, but boy, what an improvement over what it was.
Yeah, it I think looks quite a bit better than what we had.
Nice.
At one time.
Cool. Well, thanks for showing us this.
Yeah, you bet.
Now, you might be wondering about this miraculous tool that I received in the mail today. But first, a very quick disclaimer. I don't really know if it's miraculous because I haven't used it yet. However, I've heard really good things about it and watched several YouTube videos of people using it to great effect. So without further ado, let me introduce you to the Japanese weeding sickle. Now, I don't know the Japanese language term for this particular implement, but it does come highly recommended and is fairly cheap. It cost me around $20 on Amazon. Now, a lot of folks have sent along dozens of recommendations for various gardening tools, weeders, hoers, things like that. But because of the price point of this particular tool and the fact that it looked kind of cool, honestly, I figured I'd give this one a shot first and see how it works. Now, one of the very first things I typically like to do whenever I get a new bladed instrument of any kind is to give it a quick sharpen. Normally I'd use something like a sharpening stone, a whetstone on something like this, but this little file's all I've got. Technically, these things usually come pre-sharpened and ready to go, but I don't think it can hurt to just give it a little extra edge when it's coming out of the packaging in the mail, just to give it a little extra bite. So that's what I'm going to do right now. And yeah, that's quite sharp. That is quite sharp. Let's give it a shot out there. Now, there's a particular weed here on the homestead that's especially troublesome to me, and that's dock. Sometimes people call it plantain. There's other terms for it, but it is a robust weed. This thing can grow up through anything. It'll grow up through paper bags that I set down to mulch. It'll even grow up, find its way around cardboard sheet mulching that I've put down like it has in the strawberry patch here. And so I will go through dutifully and work my way and pick out these dock weeds, plantains, again, whatever you want to call them. Within a few days, surprise, surprise, they managed to pop up again. And so they've been a real pain in my butt. And so I'm going to do my initial test run on this Japanese weeding sickle on that particular weed, the dock. Let's see how it works. Okay, here's a nice juicy patch of it that I think I want to take on. Let's give it a shot. Well, I think it's fair to say that works very well here, at least for the plantain. And it was kind of fun. I just slid it underneath on the dirt, and it just slid right underneath the roots of this thing and took them right out. See if I can do this without harming the strawberry. There it is, gone. Okay, wow, yeah, this thing's impressive. In fact, I'm a little too close to it for comfort. There's a trick to it I noticed. You have to kind of hit the back end of the blade towards what you're trying to cut, and then it just scoops right through it. As you're seeing here, it just slices right through the roots of these weeds that are here with very little struggle. It took me just a little bit of pulling to get all these roots out. I mean, take a look at how things look before and after. It's incredible how quickly this thing works. And like I said, it's almost kind of fun. Just out of curiosity, I wonder how it would handle a bigger weed. Let's give it a shot. Oh, I barely touched it, and look what happened. I hadn't even swung it yet, and already it worked through it. Wow. Now what about working in garden beds? That's one of the toughest areas to hit because obviously you don't want to disturb the main garden plants at all, but you still want to be able to knock down the grass that's growing up through, the crabgrass in this case. Let's see how it handles that. First I'm going to move back some of this mulch and let's see what happens. To be honest, the weeds in the garden boxes, it's almost just easier to pull them. That's because I've let them get so long. But when they're shorter and you're able to pull back the mulch a little bit, this thing will just slice right through them with nary a problem. So I think I will be using this thing a lot for the dock that pops up in the squarea and the barria. And once I've pared back some of the weeds that we're dealing with, I've just yanked out some of the weeds that we're dealing with in the garden bed. I'll use this thing on the short little weeds that come up because again, this will just mow right through them. So what's my overall impression of this thing? Well, for weeds in loose dirt, A+. This thing just killed them. It just annihilated all those weeds. For weeds in things like garden beds or places where there's already some mulch, I'd give it a B or a C. I think there's probably some easier ways of getting rid of longer weeds in garden beds, probably just yanking them up. For style points, another A+. This thing looks really, really cool. Again, for the amount of money that you're paying for this thing, 20 bucks on Amazon, definitely worth the cost in my view. Well, that is all I have today, my friends. I definitely recommend this tool to you if you have looser soil that you'd like to spot weed with weeds like plantain, dock, leafier weeds. I don't think there's a better tool on the planet than the Japanese weeding sickle. I'll include a link in the description below to the exact model I got on Amazon. I think it might be an affiliate, I'm not sure, but I'll let you know for sure in the description. But anyways, thanks for hanging out with me today, guys. And as always, remember, until next time, slowly, slowly.